Y'all loved the first one, y'all really liked the second one, and so I had to go ahead and make a part 3 to this video series. So here we are, 5 underrated JDM cars, part 3. Hey, and what is going on everybody? It's Scion Life back here with another video, and if you haven't seen the first 2 parts of this video, I would suggest go ahead and go watch them. But you already know the drill, just 5 underrated JDM cars to continue adding on to this list. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know down in the comments below what is your favorite underrated JDM car. So without further ado, let's get on with the video. So for the first entry on this video, I figured I would go ahead and throw in a car that would really get the Toyota Supra fanboys going. The first car on this list is the Lexus SC300. Now this car made 225 horsepower at a redline of 6,000 RPMs. Also underneath the hood came the glorious 2JZ-GE. Of course, it's not the GTE, it's not the turbo model, it is just the naturally aspirated 3-liter straight 6. But the thing about the 2JZ-GE is it can handle a lot of power as long as you keep the turbo setup or supercharger setup, whatever you choose to go with to boost this motor. As long as you keep it under 8 to 10 psi, you will be fine on a stock block, and you can make plenty of power with this car. And although this car does weigh 3,500 pounds, it is a great drift car. The dimensions of this car and the suspension make it a serious force to be dealt with on a drift track or a curvy back road if that's your thing. So putting aside that it has the glorious 2JZ, let's take a look at this car. This car is absolutely beautiful, and this is a car that you can actually daily drive if you wanted to. There's plenty of room inside of the cabin, inside of the trunk, and it is a great performance car whenever you choose to go out and drive it hard. And this really is a great looking car for under $10,000, I might add, that will really break some necks on the street. You can take this car to work and immediately go after to the mountain pass and rip it. And honestly, there are so many cars from the 90s that were kind of luxurious cruisers that had the same kind of styling as this car that are super underrated. So the fact that you can pick one of these beauties up for less than 10 grand, it is really an underrated car in the market right now, and I would suggest picking it up. Man, that 2JZ would be a lot of fun. And now for the second entry on this list, we are going to be talking about the 4th generation of the Honda Prelude. Now this is a front wheel drive Honda, of course, as most performance Hondas are. Came with a 2.2 liter inline 4 known as the H22A1. This car was naturally aspirated and can rev up to 6,800 RPMs, and this car only weighed around 2,800 pounds. And this car back in the 90s was originally based on the old Accord, and it was meant to compete with cars like the Celica, the Silvia, and the Eclipse. This was one of the most cutting edge Hondas you could buy back in the 1990s, and man, this car will rip. It is an amazing time attack, street car, toge car, you name it, anything but drift. Of course, it's front wheel drive, but anything that involves grip or timed runs, this thing will absolutely dominate. And now in the modern day, these Preludes have started to gain a bit of value, and some people are starting to notice them and pick them up. And this is probably because even back in the 1990s, this car was tearing up the Moose test and beating some Ferraris, Corvettes, and Porsches in this test. This car has some serious grip and can handle corners like no other. I would highly suggest picking one of these up if you are a Honda guy, because not only is this a great starter car, but this is a great car that you can keep for a long time and have a lot of fun with. You can continuously mod this engine, get it faster, and it will always impress you, and you will always have fun in a car like this. And now on to the third car on this list, we're going to delve a bit into the hot hatches. Yes, that's right, we're going to be talking about the Nissan Pulsar GTI-R. Now, a lot of you, especially if you're from the United States, you will probably have no idea what this car even is. It's because this car was actually never sold in the US. It's why it's so really underrated here, and only the hardcore Nissan guys here really even know what this car is. So for starters, I mean, this car was a homologated rally car. It was a street legal rally car. And yeah, that's all you need to know. I'm just kidding. It came with a 227 horsepower, 2-liter inline 4. Yes, it came with the SR20 DET, revved all the way up to 7,800 RPMs with a turbocharger. It made around 210 pound-feet of torque, and it only weighed around 2,400 pounds. And since this car has such good power to weight ratio, even in today's market, it is faster than the current Fiesta ST. And back in the 1990s, this car was just as fast as the Porsche 911. Yes, you got the same performance as a 90s 911 from this Nissan hatch. It's really incredible that Nissan ever released this car as a road car anyways. This car is so ridiculous looking, it's so out there, and it just looks like something that belongs in the World Rally Championship, not something that belongs in somebody's garage. But that, of course, is what I love about it so much. Now, the only issue I really have with this car is the fact that it came with an SR20. Now, SR20s are pretty well-known motors. They're pretty legendary for drifting, but they're not that great for making a lot of power. You have to have the right tuner, the right setup, the right kind of parts, and a guy that really knows what he's doing in order to get the most out of the SR20. So if you're willing to go out there and look for that guy that can really squeeze every bit of power that you want out of your SR20, then I would suggest importing one of these from Japan. Trust me, it would definitely be worth it. This car looks sick. And now the fourth car on this list is a bit more modern. It is the Mazda Speed 3. This car came with a 4-cylinder turbocharged engine that made 263 horsepower. And it was a front-wheel drive car that was only mated to a manual transmission. That's right, you could not get this car in an automatic. Now, this hot hatch out of Japan in the early 2010s was meant to compete with cars like the WRX and cars from Germany such as the Golf. And now you can say what you want about this car's styling, but I think it does look pretty good. And this car actually handles extremely well. If you're looking for a first car out there and you're really into hatches, I would suggest looking at the Speed 3 as one of your options. This car handles really well on back roads, curvy roads, and even if you wanted to take it to the track, it would do pretty well there too. And now, I'm not gonna lie to you, the engine on this car is not the greatest thing ever. It's not super tunable or can make a ton of power, but this car does handle very, very well, and it comes in a manual transmission. So that's pretty cool. And now for the fifth and final car on this list, we'll be talking about the first generation Acura TSX. Now, I know that this is essentially a rebadged Honda Accord, but this car did get the K24 engine, which if you ask any Honda guy, this is one of the most bulletproof and most reliable motors that Honda has ever produced. The K24 makes around 200 horsepower stock, and you can get it in a 6-speed manual. You can also find these cars for around $5,000. This gives you plenty of money to play around with to mod the car to your liking. Now, this one isn't the best looking car in my opinion. It's essentially just a Honda Accord. But the reason I put it on this list is because you do get that K24 engine, which is worth a lot. So now I'm up to 15 underrated JDM cars that I have talked about, and honestly, if you guys continue to like this kind of content and watch it, I will make these videos. I will make an infinite amount of these videos. I'll have part 100 here in just a few months if you guys like this kind of stuff. But thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to leave a like, and if you did enjoy the video, please consider subscribing and following along for more content like this. But for now, this is Scion Life, signing out.